Hi and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician, aside from actually playing your instrument, which is an endless journey. We take it as a given. We're all trying to get better every day we go, and that's musically and in life generally. My name is Emily Dolan Davies. I am a drummer by trade, have been drumming for 26 years. I have been professional for the last 17, and I have been helping other musicians turn pro since 2018. I was going to say 2008. No, that's not correct. Since 2018, and that is why we are here today. So hopefully I can shed some light on your journey that you're on, if you're trying to go pro, or if you're semi-pro, trying to sort of like step into the professional world fully, then hopefully I can give you some insight, and if anything, just make you feel less alone, because the reality is there is not a not that I'm aware of, a single trodden path. There's kind of many footsteps all over the place, and you kind of go down a few, create your own, see what works, see what doesn't, and go from there. So today I was actually planning on doing a different episode, but then I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to do this other episode because it is relevant to right now. And I thought, since you've probably seen the title, anyway, I've decided to talk about procrastination. So initially, I was going to answer a question from Zach McLaughlin. I hope I'm saying your name right, Zach. But yes, this has kind of overridden it because it's in the moment. So Zach, I will be answering your question on the next episode. But I thought procrastination was such a better subject because essentially I switched up my planning, my episode recording for these episodes. Not usually, for a long time I've been doing it as batching, so I record like 4 episodes in one day and then I will edit them each week. But I thought, why not just record them weekly so that they're more relevant? Fine. So I've been getting into this rhythm. But let me tell you, I have not been getting into this rhythm. Not really, because I recorded the last episode on the Friday to be released on the Saturday, and this week the same thing has happened. It's currently Friday. I had initially planned to record an episode on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, and you know when you're just like, today is not the day. Let me tell you, Tuesday was not the day. Wednesday was not the day. Yesterday was not the day, even though I had the time for it to be the day, but my body and my mind was like, I'm not feeling it, you know what I mean? And also I have this, I'm sure I've mentioned about this, I have this theory about like people collectively feeling a bit and I feel like this week I went to my boxing gym on Wednesday, and I forced myself to go. I was so for no good reason at all. I'd slept, I'm eating well, all of this, but I was knackered and like my soul felt tired, But I thought, I'm gonna go. Let me tell you, every person that I came into contact with at that gym felt it's not fair to say exactly the same, felt very similarly. Like we were all having this collective experience of like, oh my gosh, I've literally dragged myself here. I felt better afterwards, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't soon after the workout that I was again like, and I'm tired again. So anyway, it's just been one of those weeks. The reason I say this is because I wonder, have you felt the same this week? Or is it just me? And that's obviously people that are listening up to date. Currently it is the Friday the 13th. Oh, it's Friday the 13th. Awesome. Friday the 13th of December 2024. So if you're listening in the future, then in fact everyone will be listening in the future, be it by a day or much longer. If you think back to this last week, if you particularly felt weird, me too. I felt weird. Anyway, so I've been really good at procrastinating this week, and I literally was in my kitchen just now having a coffee, and I was like, I've just got to go do this because it needs to get done, the end. And I thought, you know what, because I did a couple of things to kind of will myself into recording this episode, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about procrastination because maybe this is useful. I don't know. And again, this is obviously relevant to me recording episodes, but this is very relevant to if I am ever procrastinating on learning songs or creating content. Well, this is creating content, but doing Instagram posts, or procrastinating on, I don't know, any number of sending out emails to people to reach out for work, or whatever else. Whatever I'm procrastinating on, I will often employ these tactics, and they're things that I've sort of realized about myself over the years. So maybe they'll give you some ideas of things to try, and maybe they'll work for you too. So I don't know, but I just thought that I would literally talk you through my process right now, like literally 20 minutes ago, and more globally, the things that I've done over the years. So the first thing that I did just now to make myself come in, the other thing is, it's cold in this room. That is a bad thing. I feel like you have to have a situation that you're coming into that is inviting enough, like you need as little friction as possible. And let me tell you, I am someone that everything that I do, I try to create as little friction as possible so that I'm more likely to do it. So the one thing that lets me down in this room is the temperature. There is a heater in here, but I have to manually come and switch it on. So it's a small thing, but it's why I have layers. Sorry if you can't actually see me right now. I'm layered up, I'm in a hat, the whole thing. But anyway, so actually, let's just talk about that. I would say whatever you're trying to do, create the most frictionless scenario environment that you can, so that it makes it easy to do the thing. And that can go for things like, practicing your instrument. That can go for like doing a workout. That can be like for eating healthily. In fact, honestly, I could go in depth about the things that I do to make sure that I carry out those particular things I've just said. Things like eating healthy. I know that like meal prepping, it is a thing. Trust me, for me, it works. First of all, I love cooking anyway. I love it. And in fact, that feeds into my first point. But what I will do is I will cook things because I enjoy cooking anyway, and then I'll just put them into Tupperware and freeze it, so that it is easier for me to get out something that is healthy from my freezer and stick it in the microwave to heat it up. It's easier, it's quicker, and it's obviously cheaper than getting a takeout, which may seem like such a tantalizing kind of situation. And don't get me wrong, sometimes absolutely I will go for I will be on Deliveroo, I will be on Just Eat, I'll be like, yeah, all right, I want a burger, and that is that. But often, like I'd say 95% of the time at the moment, my logic will be able to kick in enough to go, dude, you've got something in the freezer, it's better for you and it's quicker. If you're hungry, eat that. Like sometimes, when you just want something warm or something hearty, like I have hearty meals in my freezer as well. So I might have something like chicken and rice and broccoli. That's kind of what I'm eating and sweet potato. That's kind of what I'm eating a lot at the moment. Just because I love it and I'm very obsessive. Don't know whether you've noticed. But also I'll have things like, I've got like a beef stew with dumplings in there at the moment, and that is just, that is hearty. I've got like red beans and rice in there at the moment. Lovely. Anyway, sorry, this is not meant to be a food episode. But it does bring me on to my next thing. So frictionless environment is ideal. Obviously, sometimes it's not possible. So that's why I'm not fixating on that too much, but I've just spoken about it for much longer than I probably should have. But the first thing that I did just now to get myself in here was basically I am going to bake some cookies later. And the reason for baking these cookies is multiple fold. So I am creating, for Christmas, I'm doing like a hamper of baked things, like things that I've made for my family and stuff. But I am the kind of person that I like to make sure they're the best they can be. So I've been experimenting with different ways of cooking various things. Anyway, one of these things is cookies that I've been cooking since I was a child. But recently, that something's changed. I'm doing something different and I'm not sure what. But anyway, I want to experiment with making them more soft and chewy. This is way more information than you need, but I'm just going to go with it. And anyway, so I have decided to bake a batch today, which in itself is exciting to me because A, I love baking, B, I love experimenting and making things as good as they can be. But also, I've added in a couple of factors of they're not actually just for me, they're for other people. They're going to be my guinea pigs essentially. So that is kind of broadening the scope of the weight of that action, which it makes it more appealing to me that I get to do it for other people as well. So in my kitchen currently are all of the ingredients to bake those cookies. So literally I can come out of this studio after I've recorded this and go and bake straight away. And when I tell you, that excites me so much. I'm so excited to go do that. So that is part of my kind of motivation to do this, is like, right, your reward is that you can go and bake after this for other people as well, which is always nice. So that is part of the thing that I sort of do. I create rewards for myself. I will be honest, often they are food rewards, whether that is you get to eat something nice, or you get to cook, or you get to, I don't know, or maybe it's something else, like you get to have a nice hot bath. I had a really nice hot bath the other day. I haven't had a bath in ages. And I was like, why have I not been doing this? You know, when you have those days where you're just cold all day, like in your bones, cold. And I was like, you know what? I'm having a bath. I'm having a bath. So I went and had a bath, and it was, it was wonderful. It was so good. I was sitting, I was watching NFL. It was great. It was a really nice moment. So anyway, that is the first thing I do. I create incentives of rewards after I've done the thing that I'm procrastinating on. I just now did something different that I've never done before, that seems to have just, because I was still like procrastinating a little bit. I was scrolling on Instagram. I was watching cat videos. It was great, but I was like, this is only going to go one way. So I did something different that I've never done before, and it really did just make me take that next step over. I sent a message to someone, literally saying, "Good morning. I hope that you're having a good day. I'm procrastinating." And by sending that, it literally just made me go, well, I've got to go do it now, because I don't know psychologically, I don't know what just happened, but it just gave me that extra little push. So I guess accountability in it. So maybe if you can find someone that you can be accountable to, and again, maybe not in them sort of like being like, have you done the episode? That would be annoying, and I think that would be like detrimental to relationships with people. But I think if you can be the one going, hey, I'm procrastinating, and whether you get a response or not, I'm telling you, like, there is something psychological that happened to me that was like, well, you can't, maybe it was a rebellion, like, you've admitted it now you have to rebel against it. And again, maybe that's my personal psychology, I don't know, I have no idea. This is brand new sort of like testing, if you like. I do enjoy testing things, don't I? So anyway, that might be an idea. And then another thing that I'll do to sort of curb the procrastination, I will think about the bigger goal, because often, for me at least, the smaller procrastination is just looking directly at the action in front of me right there, that I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered, I don't feel like it. But if I start thinking about the bigger picture, then it kind of puts it into perspective, like, actually this is just one small thing that is going to help the bigger picture, which for me, recording this episode is just helping other people. That's literally it. I think about the people that this podcast reaches and how lucky I am to get to connect with people, even if it sometimes feels a little one way from my side, because it's a funny old thing, the relationship with podcast listeners. It's either they're kind of silent listeners, which fascinates me endlessly, or they reach out, and I love it because it feels like I'm someone that I go through the world feeling a little strange sometimes. I'm like, I don't know, I sometimes, I don't know, I get weird, I can't help it. It just, when I get anxious or whatever, I get weird, and I think we're all the same in some respects. But basically, the joy of this podcast is that when people do reach out, is that they already know the weird. They already kind of have an element of knowing me, which is lovely, because it means that we have a starting point of, like, I already feel comfortable, and I'm like, cool, because I just am myself on these podcasts, and because it's not informed by someone being in front of me, that I suddenly start feeling anxious. It's literally, if I'm feeling any type of way, it's just because I've made myself feel like that in the moment. But it's probably like, I don't know, it's just a really nice starting point. It's a lovely starting point to have conversations with people. But anyway, I don't know why I went down this tangent, because it's me probably. But I feel like if I think about the wider goal of like, think about all the people that you could be helping by doing this episode, like, look at the bigger picture. You're making a difference in people's lives, hopefully. You would, for the better as well, hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's always the aim, obviously. So that kind of like, that does spur me on to be like, yeah, come on. Like, this isn't about you. What, just because you feel a bit off today, like, so what? That's kind of part of the deal. Like, this is, you can't just pick and choose. Well, you can pick and choose, but, there is a level of accountability that comes from my listeners, whether they be silent or chatty. So for that, I thank you, to be fair. Like, thank you to you for being the silent motivator for me. Some are slightly more vocal, especially if I miss an episode. You know who you are, people that are vocal, and I love you for it, can I just say, because I also need that, the explicit, like, we didn't get an episode this week. I love it. I kind of love it. So there's that. When it comes to, I was sort of thinking more widely about procrastination, more based around sort of practicing and stuff like that. And whilst for the podcast, it's really good for me to have a look at the bigger goal, sometimes that can feel really overwhelming when it comes to practicing. Because and let me tell you, so when I was younger, this was the biggest thing that would just completely debilitate me, like instantly. So the idea of going to practice, for instance, and I don't know why, I have this very specific image of myself sitting on a couch in my house, like my house growing up, but yeah, in fact, I suppose I was playing drums at that point in that house. Yeah, of course I was. But anyway, it's a very specific image that I have, and the feeling, I still can feel it. And it just felt like this massive, overwhelming, insurmountable situation. And what I will say is that part of that was the friction thing that I already spoke about. But part of it was the overwhelm of like, what do I practice by to get to be a better drummer? That's such a huge like scope of what does that mean? And at the time, especially, I mean, I was probably 13 when I was when I'm envisaging my former self. Like the scope of not just I want to be a great drummer, but also at that stage I was like, I don't even know what it takes. So it's kind of like throwing a dart into the dark and hoping that it hits something, and then just working on that. And I was having lessons at that point, so that of course would help, but it just felt like an absolutely huge task that was insurmountable. That's the only word for it. It was just so overwhelming. So, and it took me a long time to kind of get over that, like years and years and years and years and years. I'm talking like it was probably in my early 20s that I started actually working out how to deal with that sense of overwhelm and like there's so much to do. There's all the things and I don't even know where to start. But what I started doing was paring it back to like really small goals, like the most specific kind of goals. And sometimes, so whilst those goals might have been, that's why I always work really well when I have a gig to work towards. And if I was looking to get better in a certain area of my playing, I would take on a gig, I would plan to do a performance video, I would, there would be a tangible goal that would be very specific to what I was trying to achieve in my playing. But equally, whilst those goals were some of the goals, sometimes the goal would literally be just to get up off my butt and go into the room where the drums are. Like sometimes that was the goal, and by doing that action, that was kind of a win. And in fact, that's sort of I can't remember this theory. It's something that I have definitely seen multiple times. I don't know where it's come from, but it's this thing called the 1 minute rule or something like that, where you just commit to do it for 1 minute and inevitably you end up doing it for longer, because by the time you're there and doing it, it kind of takes away the procrastination and you're already doing the thing, so you may as well carry on doing the thing. But I still maintain the friction to get to that point. That is actually a really important thing when it comes to procrastination, for sure. And then the final thing that I wanted to talk about was how this is probably really, really like, I don't want to hear this right now. If you are procrastinating, that is. In fact, I hope you don't mind. I just need to take a sip of coffee because I'm cold. So the final thing that I sometimes do when it comes to procrastination, and in fairness, I did this week, was I actually use it for useful reasons. Like, for instance, so if I know that I'm procrastinating, like yesterday, I knew that I was procrastinating. I knew it. I will also say that there is definitely something around, and I was talking to my therapist lady about this, there's something around the environment being messy and procrastination, and there's a link there for me. I don't know what it is, but there's something, because my surroundings were messier than usual, than I was comfortable with. I'm kind of okay with a certain level of mess, but then there was this threshold that went over yesterday. So I was still procrastinating yesterday, but I decided to use it in a useful way. Like, all right, fine. You cannot do the episode. This is me talking to myself. Emily, you cannot do the episode tomorrow, but you need to do something else that's productive. And for me, that was just cleaning up the house and just sorting it out. I did end up doing a lot of cooking yesterday as well, and when I tell you, the kitchen looked like it had exploded at one stage, and I was like, oh my goodness, it was a very strange thing. I sort of cooked, the kitchen exploded, I cleared up completely, so it's completely clean and spotless essentially, and then for some reason my brain went, let's cook some more, and then the kitchen exploded again. I was like, there's something wrong with me. That was not the best way to do that. But anyway, and then I cleaned it all again, and things like, doing washing, doing household things that need to get done anyway, I used that as motivation. Like, that's fine, you can procrastinate on the episode because you have another day, you're going to have to do it like tomorrow, like you're running out of options. Because I think it sometimes does come down to that, like just not giving yourself the option, at least for me, not giving myself, like, I had no option today. The episode comes out tomorrow, so I have to do it today, because between planning, filming, editing, that is not a quick process, let me tell you. And not just physically time-wise, but energy-wise. Like, this takes it out of me, for sure. I love it. I would not change it, but I give myself to these episodes. I really do. But anyway, I knew that, okay, by saying no today, and this was yesterday, I know that tomorrow, aka today, it will get done, because it just has to. But I'm not letting myself off the hook yesterday. I wasn't like just sitting doing nothing for hours. Absolutely not. I think I started cooking at like 10 in the morning, and then I just didn't stop. That's what it feels like. I started cooking, and then I was like cleaning up, and then I was doing washing, and then I don't know, I was just doing stuff, and then the whole day just kind of went. What's equally really bizarre to me is that although I was cooking for a long time yesterday, I actually only made 2 things, and I don't understand how that happened. What I will say is, now, if any of my family are listening right now, stop, because this is spoiler alert. Right, so back in when would this have been? I want to say the late 90s. There were these things in the UK called Lions cupcakes. Now, these are like chocolate sponge cupcakes, right? But then they have what I would describe as a chocolate ganache on top. I know, but with a hard kind of top to them, very smooth, very shiny top, right? And they used to sell these in shops in the 90s. And when me and my family, sorry, this is too much detail you did not ask for, but here we are. When we were kids, we would go down to Cornwall camping, right? And part of our holiday was to get these Lions cupcakes. Now, here's another side thing. My dad hates cakes. However, he loves these cupcakes, and my family as a whole love these cupcakes. It's something that we all enjoy, which is rare. Usually there's one person that's like, I'm not really into it. But anyway, they stopped making these cupcakes probably maybe 10 years ago. And to the point that me and my sister have been trying to find them for years. Anyway, a couple of years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna try and make something that is similar. Well, let me tell you, yesterday, I think I cracked it. I'm so excited to give my family these Lions cupcakes at Christmas. It's gonna be so awesome. I'm so proud of myself. So anyway, a big part of yesterday was making these Lions cupcakes because it is there are multiple steps to get to this position, this point of like it's not perfection, but it's my level of perfection. They're still not actually done as well, which is absolutely ridiculous, but they're almost done. So anyway, I don't know why I went down this tangent. All I'm saying is that sometimes procrastination can be useful for getting done those little things that you're avoiding. Ironically, the other things that you're procrastinating on, so it can be useful. But yeah, like I say, this was a bit of a random, unexpected episode to film and record, but I just thought, you know what, I sometimes have this where things are happening in the moment and I'm like, I should just be speaking about this because it's a practical thing that we have to go through that is happening right now, so I may as well talk about my feelings about it right now. But what I will say is that as I sit here, I'm really glad that I did this episode. I will say once again, thank you to you for being accountable, for making me accountable, I should say. I get to go and bake some cookies, which is exciting for me, right? Well, after I stop this, obviously, I'm not going to start baking right now whilst I'm still recording. And yeah, if you're procrastinating, it's annoying, isn't it? It's annoying. It's because I'm spitting. I guess it's just that thing of like, you can only not blame yourself, but the buck stops with you. It starts and stops with you when it comes to procrastination. But yeah, I hope that this has given you some ideas in how to minimize it for you. Like I say, I think the biggest thing for me over the years that I've learned is that I need the most frictionless situation to get these things done. So like I say, for this podcast, when I tell you my setup is set up, it is, I have a template in Logic that for my podcast recordings, you know, I have templates in OBS, which is what I use here to record. My camera is constantly set up, so literally all I need to do is switch on the computer. In fairness, I used to have a Keyboard Maestro shortcut that would open up everything as well, which I've stopped using because it's a bit overkill. I go too far sometimes. I don't know whether you've noticed that about me. I do like going to the extreme, and then I recognise when it's not serving me and I should pull it back slightly. So, but anyway, yeah, for me, the friction level is definitely the first thing that I focus on. And then I just look at ways to incentivize myself, whether that be with rewards, whether that be with accountability, looking at the bigger picture, having tiny, tiny goals, or just literally making the goal just to do the thing for a minute and see what happens. Obviously, that doesn't quite work for podcast episodes. You know, I'm sure you'd love a short podcast episode rather than me rambling on like this, but there we are. Anyway, I shall leave it there. What I will say before I start plugging, as I often do, is that I'm planning on having the next 2 weeks off from podcasting. That's the plan. That way, if I do end up randomly recording another recording another episode, well then that's nice. But the plan is to take a couple of weeks off because I think I'm exhausted, quite honestly. I think that's another thing with procrastination, actually. Sometimes it is literally just exhaustion. So recognize that, take a bit of time, reflect on what else might be going on maybe. But so for that reason, I wanted to say, I hope you have a great festive period ahead of you, however you choose or don't choose to celebrate that. But yeah, just eat food. That's what I say. Eat nice food. It's a good excuse. Everything comes back to food with me. literally everything. But yeah, I wanted to say that. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you've enjoyed this episode, sorry it's a bit rambly, then please do feel free to like, share and subscribe. If you would like to ask me a particular question, if you'd like me to cover a particular topic, please come ask me a question over at emilydrums.com/AMA, as in ask me anything. That's emilydrums.com/AMA. And if you do that, please ask it as an actual question. It just makes it a lot easier for me to answer. Also, if you want me to give you a shout out, please leave your name, because the form by default is anonymous. And if you'd like to also support this podcast, you now can over on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/EmilyDrums. And if you'd like to come and connect with me on Instagram, you can at Hey Emily Drums. That's Hey Emily Drums. So yes, anyway, I hope that you're having a lovely day wherever you are, whatever you're up to. If you have used this episode to procrastinate, I will be your accountability buddy. Please go and do the thing that you're meant to do. Oh, I will also say as well, if you'd like to do some one-on-one coaching with me, come reach out. If you go to emilydrums.com/coaching, obviously we're coming into a new year, so it's the perfect time to kind of get on it. If you're looking to kind of have that accountability, if you're looking for that guidance, I can be that person for you. If you think that we're a good fit, and we can jump on a call first of all, just to check that I can help you essentially. But yeah, if you fancy that, then do get in touch. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go bake some cookies for people that I love. I will speak to you soon, and if all things going to the plan that I just told you, I guess I will see you in 2025. All right, lots of love to you. I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Mwah.